So let's talk about learning English. Maybe you have a goal in mind, like a big meeting or travel, or maybe you just really want to watch movies without subtitles, feel more confident when you speak. But perhaps you're feeling, a bit stuck. Those traditional methods, the grammar drills, vocabulary lists, maybe it all feels a bit, robotic.
Yeah, and that real-world fluency just isn't quite clicking yet. Does that sound familiar?
It's super common, that feeling like you're on a plateau or just sort of grinding through exercises that don't really seem to connect to actual conversation.
Right, it can feel overwhelming when you're only using those static methods.
Absolutely. And while that's exactly why we wanted to do this deep dive looking at the material you share, it talks about podcasts as this kind of secret weapon for English learners.
Yeah, it does. And our mission here really is to unpack why the material positions them that way. And also for spoiler, it's pretty much everyone.
Oh.
And importantly, give you a really clear, actionable plan straight from the source material on how you can use them, how you can actually integrate them to, seriously boost your listening, grow your vocabulary, improve pronunciation, and even get a better feel for the culture.
Okay, let's start with the why. The material really sets podcasts against some of those traditional methods we just mentioned, highlighting how textbooks, those repetitive exercises, can feel kind of rigid, maybe even boring sometimes, and progress feels frustratingly slow.
Exactly. And what's really interesting is the shift in perspective the material suggests. It's about moving from classroom English to, real practical English.
How so?
Well, the material points out some key advantages, like they're incredibly portable. You can learn literally anywhere, commuting, walking the dog, cooking dinner, just chilling out.
Right, not tied to a desk.
And they're practical. You hear how native speakers actually talk with all the, pauses, idioms, the natural flow, not just textbook examples.
And engaging, that's a big one. Finding podcasts on stuff you're genuinely interested in, that makes it feel less like studying, right? More like something you want to do.
Definitely. Plus, they're flexible. You control the speed. When you listen, what you listen to, you're in charge.
And let's not forget, most of the really good ones are free.
Which is amazing. And this all ties back to that secret weapon idea in the material. Podcasts immerse you in natural spoken English.
In a way that maybe written stuff or structured audio courses don't quite capture.
Precisely. They help train your ear for different accents, different speeds. You learn the rhythm, the intonation of real conversations. It sort of transforms English from a subject you study into something you, experience.
Okay, so who is this secret weapon actually for? Is it just for beginners trying to, get the basics down? Or maybe only for advanced folks polishing things up?
That's a really good question. And the material's pretty clear on this. Podcasts are beneficial for all levels. Seriously.
For all levels?
Yeah. Whether you're just starting out kind of in the middle somewhere or you're already pretty advanced and aiming for that near native fluency, there are podcasts out there designed for you.
And the variety seems huge based on the material. It looks like you can find shows focusing on basic grammar and vocab.
Yep.
Others that are just natural chats between native speakers.
Exactly. The material highlights this whole spectrum. You've got podcasts specifically for business English or for nailing down idioms and slang.
Okay.
Others are geared towards exam prep, like IELTS or TOEFL, those big international English tests.
Right.
You can find news delivered in simpler English, or even shows that just focus on storytelling and culture from English-speaking places.
So whatever your interest or your specific need right now.
The material suggests there's probably a podcast out there for you waiting.
All right, so we get why they're effective and who can benefit. Now, the really crucial part. How do you actually use them effectively? The material seems to lay out a pretty practical action plan.
It does. And it starts with maybe the most fundamental step, choosing a podcast that's right for your current level.
Don't jump in the deep end straight away.
Exactly. The advice is definitely not to pick something super fast or complex right off the bat. The material strongly suggests starting with podcasts made specifically for learners.
And it gives some examples for beginners, right? Like the English we speak from the BBC.
And Speak English with ESL Pod, Voice of America, Learning English.
What makes those good starting points, according to the material?
Well, usually there's shorter episodes. They use clearer, maybe slightly slower English. And they often explain cultural things too, which adds helpful context.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then the material encourages you, as you get more comfortable, to gradually move towards shows with more natural native speed conversations.
Like the ones it mentions later. Luke's English podcast, All Ears English, the English Fluency Journey.
Exactly, those kinds of shows. Stepping stones.
Okay, step 1, find the right level. What's step 2 in the plan?
Step 2 is critical. Active listening. It's really easy to just have a podcast playing in the background, right?
Yeah, like background noise while you do other things.
But to really learn, the material stresses you need to interact with it. Be active.
How do you do that? What are the techniques?
Well, the material suggests a few practical things, like if you hear something confusing, don't just let it fly by. Pause it, rewind it, listen again.
Okay.
Try repeating phrases or even whole sentences out loud. Mimic the speaker. That's great for pronunciation and getting the rhythm down.
Oh, interesting. Like talking back to the podcast?
Kind of. And keep a notebook or use an app. Jot down new words, cool phrases, expressions you want to remember.
Good idea.
And a really great way to check if you're actually understanding is to try and summarize what you just heard, in your own words. Even just a quick mental summary.
Effective listening. Got it. What's step 3?
Step 3 builds on that, and it's something the material really highlights as super valuable. Use transcripts and subtitles.
Ah, okay. If they're available.
Right. And what's insightful here is how the material points out that many podcasts, especially learner ones, offer them.
And how do they help specifically?
Having that text lets you follow along visually while you listen. So you're improving your listening and your reading skills at the same time.
Double benefit.
Yeah. And it's fantastic for catching every single word, especially if there's an accent you're not used to or if people are speaking quickly.
Makes sense. Okay. Step 4 in the materials plan is something called shadowing.
Shadowing, yeah. It might sound a bit technical or maybe intimidating,
A little.
but the material describes it as actually quite simple and really effective.
Okay, what is it?
It basically means you listen to a short bit of audio, like a phrase or a sentence, and you immediately try to repeat it out loud.
Right after the speaker.
Immediately.
Yeah.
And you try to copy everything, the pronunciation, the ups and downs of their voice, the rhythm, as closely as you possibly can.
Why is that so powerful?
The material emphasizes it because it trains your mouth muscles and your ear to work together. It's a really potent way to start sounding more like a native speaker over time.
Interesting. I can see how that would work. And the final step, step 5.
Make it a daily habit. Simple as that.
Consistency over intensity.
Absolutely. The material is really clear. Being consistent is way more important than trying to do like a marathon listening session once a week.
So how much time are we talking?
It suggests even just 15 to 30 minutes a day can make a real difference. The key is finding ways to weave it into your normal routine.
Right.
Like listening on the bus or train while you're exercising, doing chores around the house, washing dishes, folding laundry, or maybe just winding down before bed.
Turn that dead time into learning time.
Exactly. Make that passive time active learning time.
Okay, that's a solid plan. And to help people actually get started, the material even curated a list of specific podcasts, didn't it? Kind of like a top 10.
It did, yeah. And very helpfully, it groups them by level.
So for beginners, what did it recommend again?
For beginners, it specifically calls out the English we speak. Good for short lessons on idioms and current phrases. Then there's Voice of America, Learning English, great for slower news and vocab building, and English Class 101.
What's special about that one?
It has content for various levels, includes cultural insights, and often breaks down useful phrases really clearly.
Okay, good starter pack. What about intermediate learners?
For intermediate, the material suggests All Ears English. Apparently, it focuses on American English, fluency, culture, and has a fun, chatty style.
Sounds engaging.
Then, 6-Minute English from the BBC. As the name suggests, short episodes, 6 minutes, covering interesting topics and teaching vocab.
Bite-sized learning.
Yep. And Luke's English podcast. That one's known for British English, humor, lots of common expressions, and storytelling.
Nice variety there. And for advanced learners, people who really want to push themselves.
Right. For advanced learners, the material points towards really engaging with native level content, things like This American Life.
Oh, yeah, great storytelling.
Exactly. Rich narratives. Also, The Daily from the New York Times for, proper news analysis. TED Talks Daily. Fantastic for hearing powerful speaking styles and picking up high-level vocabulary. And it even mentions Grammar Girl.
Grammar Girl.
For advanced learners.
Yeah, for those tricky grammar points that still trip people up sometimes. Quick, clear explanations to polish your skills.
That's a great list across the board. And finally, the material had a few extra tips, right? For staying motivated.
Just a few quick pro tips, yeah. Like track your progress, Maybe keep a simple journal, note down what you learned or understood.
Acknowledge the wins.
Exactly. Celebrate those small victories. Understanding, say, 80% of an episode that used to feel impossible. That's huge.
Definitely.
It also suggests joining online communities, places like Reddit, Discord, Facebook groups for learners. You can find support, ask questions, connect with others.
Good idea.
Community helps.
And maybe explore interactive lessons if platforms like Spotify or Audible offer them. Just adds another layer.
So wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway from our deep dive into this material?
I think the core message is that learning English doesn't have to be this hard, boring thing stuck in a classroom.
Right.
What this source material really shows is how podcasts can turn it into something, well, fun, flexible, accessible, mostly free, and actually really effective. Something that fits into your daily life.
And the potential results sound pretty good. Clearer listening.
Yeah, better vocabulary, improved fluency, more confidence when you actually use English. The material even hints you could see real changes in just a few weeks if you're consistent.
It really feels like it's about studying smarter, not just harder.
Exactly. And that leads to this really powerful final thought from the material. The goal isn't just to study English like it's a school subject.
What is it then?
It's to make English your daily soundtrack.
Yeah.
To weave it into your life so naturally that it just becomes part of your environment, something enjoyable.
A daily soundtrack. I like that. So thinking about that, the challenge for you listening is, how can you start today?
Based on the material, it's simple, really. Choose just one podcast from that list we talked about. Just one. Commit to listening to maybe just one episode. Try out one or two of those active listening techniques.
Pause, repeat, make a note.
Yeah. Just start building that habit. Let listening become the thing that transforms your English learning journey.